Call this meeting to order. It's the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, held on March 5th, 2013 at 6 p.m. at the Public Safety Building. City Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Dowling?
Here.
Councilmember Alinsky?
Here.
Councilmember Howdy?
Here.
Councilmember Norman?
Here.
Councilmember Pratt?
Here.
Vice Mayor Piper? Here. Mayor Jones?
Here. And Pledge of Allegiance, I'm just going to call on somebody tonight.
Yes.
Okay, so Margie Beach, would you be willing to come up and lead us in the pledge? Yes, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you would, just give us a little update on where you work and share some information about that.
Well, I would love to do that too. I work at Rainbow Acres. I'm the Director of Communications and Community Relations. And the reason I'm here tonight is because of the City of Cottonwood has been kind enough to issue a proclamation tonight declaring that March 20th is Arizona Gives Day in Cottonwood, and that's the reason I'm here, is because Rainbow Acres is a not-for-profit organization, and Arizona Gives Day is all about all nonprofit organizations in Arizona registering and encouraging people to give online to the charity of their choice on March 20th. If you aren't at a computer on March 20th and you know you're not going to be, you can set it up ahead of time to give a donation on that day. Please do it on that day to the charity of your choice. And the hope is, this is the very first time in Arizona to have an Arizona Gives Day, and the hope is to raise at least $2 million for nonprofits throughout the state. Other states have done this for many years. Minnesota, Colorado are the two notable ones. Minnesota raised $14 million on their last State Gives Day for all nonprofits throughout their state. So we're hoping that this will take hold this year and that we can make it really successful over years to come. And Rainbow Acres is a 27-acre ranch-style community for adults with developmental disabilities in Camp Verde.
Thank you very much for sharing
Thank
that
you, Diane.
information and for your good citizenship and leading the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, the next item is a brief summary of current events by the mayor, city council, and/or city manager. The public body does not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take legal action on any matter brought up during this summary unless the specific matter is properly noticed for legal action. Mr. Bartosh.
Madam Mayor, council members, just a couple of items. We will be opening the alleyway, the access to the new parking lot off of Main Street in Old Town. We had to get the traffic control device in so people couldn't go back out onto Main Street, but that should be opening up here pretty quickly. And if you've seen it lately, there's a nice canopied walkway that goes from the parking lot out to Main Street. This weekend, the police department will be doing a fundraiser at Safeway. It's the Cop on Top fundraiser for Special Olympics. So if you get a chance to get out there and help them out with that, they'd greatly appreciate it. And I don't know if you were going to do this, Mayor, but I have a report on the e-waste recycling event.
And have you gotten the stuff from, I'm still waiting to hear from ADEQ. Have you gotten that yet?
No, I haven't gotten
Okay, well, go
anything.
ahead with this amount, and as soon as we get that, I'll be releasing the pictures and all the
Okay.
information, but go ahead with that part.
Well, we had a total of 661 vehicles show up, both to recycle e-waste and also to do paper shredding. And we had four 24-foot container trucks that were filled up with electronic waste.
Wow.
And they shredded over, well, 11,400 pounds of paper.
Great.
So it was a really great event. And again, I think it's important to recognize that we had vehicles from the Verde Villages, Clarkdale, Jerome, Sedona, Camp Verde, Cornville, Rimrock. So it was an event that really benefited the region.
It truly was a regional event. And yeah, that's great. Thank you.
And I'll get these details out to the council in the management report too. Just to let the council know, and I'll be sending you an email on this, is again, we've been invited to participate in the Days of Remembrance that is put on by the Prescott Area Jewish Community Foundation. And the mayor and Jesse went last year. And so I'll be asking if council would like to attend. I can get tickets for it, and you're welcome to attend.
And when is that?
It's April 7th at 4 p.m. over at the Yavapai College Performing Arts Center in Prescott.
And who are the speakers this year?
It's the featured speaker is Abe Meth, and he was saved by Raoul Wallenberg, who was towards the end of the war. Mr. Wallenberg saved quite a few of the Jewish members of the community who were facing extermination. So.
And it was very worthwhile. I think Mr. Delling will agree that it was worth the trip over and very interesting to see people who survived the Holocaust still here and speaking to us.
Yeah, last year it was the children survivors. So it was
Very
pretty
touching.
interesting. Yeah. That's it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Council? Councilmember Norman.
Yesterday, I was approached by Lana Tollison of the Cottonwood Chamber of Commerce. They were going down today to attend the Chamber Legislative Day, and one of their board members at the last minute could not go, so they asked me to step in and go with them.
Great.
So I went down with the Vice Mayor and Lana and 3 of the other of their board. It was a very good informational day. We heard from the Treasurer of Arizona. We heard from the Superintendent of Schools. We heard from the Senate's President, is that what they called him? And Andy Tobin, the House Representative, was there. And then we broke for lunch, and we got to meet with the new senator who, and I can't say his name, Tom Thorpe? No.
Oh, yeah, or Bob Thorpe.
Bob Thorpe. He had lunch with
He's
us.
a representative.
Yes, and, that's right. And Crandall is the senator,
Senator,
and he
right.
had lunch with us.
Great.
And they shared a lot of good information, so it was a very good day.
Good. Anything to add, Vice Mayor?
No, it was really interesting, and they were open to all of the questions. They gave us frank answers. They didn't just answer what they thought we wanted to hear. And actually, Crandall and Thorpe both almost apologized for being so blunt, but I appreciate them letting us know what they're up to and what they believe in and what they're going to try to get done this year. And the transaction privilege tax came up with both of them, and they say the sticking points are the 2 points that we've had the issues with here in the city with the tax, with the new reform tax. So they're well aware of that. And we made sure that they were well aware of our feelings on it.
Great, great. Okay. I attended NACOG on Thursday, and I just want to report to council that we can be very proud of Kirsten Lennon, who is our budget analyst and just sort of like over finances. Rudy's go-to person, right? And Rudy is her supervisor, and he encouraged her to go ahead and do this, and she was appointed by to the NACOG Audit Committee. And so I think that's a very good thing for Cottonwood. So congratulations and thank you for stepping up. They were desperately needing some committee members, and Rudy and Kirsten stepped up to the plate. Also, we were approved for some streets and sign money. I guess it's more for street signs. We originally applied through NACOG, which is the Northern Arizona Council of Governments, for those of the public who don't know who NACOG is. So we originally applied for $150,000 to replace regulatory street sign panels, which are stop signs, yield signs, etc., throughout the city, in addition to adding thermoplastic in place of paint as street markings throughout the city. And there was an error in the ADOT supplied cost estimate sheet that caused the project to run over to $179,390. So ADOT requested that we ask NACOG to give the city the extra funds because other communities are not ready with their projects, and ADOT agreed. So ADOT requested that we break the project into two separate projects, one signs panels and the other street marking. So we haven't quite yet received the schedule for this project, but checking with Morgan Scott, he thought it should take place this summer. And that is my report. Another thing I wanted to mention that came up on our Facebook page, and we had talked about this at our strategic initiative meeting, our retreat, and council members had asked staff to, because people are registering their businesses, and with business registrations, staff had asked, council had asked staff to create a list of our businesses. So it's sort of a, I think Councilmember Elinsky, did you ask? Was it that your idea?
That's right.
Okay, so Councilmember Elinsky thought that up, and it helps promote those businesses, so they register their business and they get on the city's website, and people can look up their business and call them if they need one of those services. And it's also to promote, I know all the council is shop locally, because that helps provide services. So I just wanted to let you all know that that's up on our Facebook page, and it's also, there's a link to the list. And I imagine it's on the left-hand side of the web page too, I'm guessing.
It's in the purchasing section because Lisa Elliott manages that.
Okay, so it's in the purchasing page and under finance.
Right.
Okay. All right, and thank you very much for getting that done. That didn't take very much time, but I'm sure it was a lot of work. So thank you. And Tom Whitmer and City Manager and I met with Nick Matea of Senator McCain's office last week, I think, just talking about local issues impacting Cottonwood and especially water issues. So I think we'll be hearing more from Senator McCain trying to work with the region on these issues. As you know, we lost Senator Kyle, and he was really, you know, the water guru as far as water rights and all of that. So I think Senator McCain is going to try to step into those shoes a little bit, and he also will be working with our new senator, Senator Flake, to try to kind of get him up to date on water issues. Okay, that's my report for this week. So our next item is proclamation declaring March 20th, 2013 as Arizona Gives a Day in Cottonwood. And so we will read the proclamation. Whereas a joint effort must be made to leverage the collective energy of Arizona's 24 billion nonprofit community to build sound relationships with new donors and increase the engagement of individuals with Arizona's nonprofit community, expand the capacity of nonprofits to incorporate the fastest growing source of individual investors, online giving, to relieve pressure on institutional investors, foundations and corporations, to be funders of first choice for so many nonprofits, and generate media messages which help educate the wider public about the value and contributions of community impact missions in our city. And whereas a pathway for community nonprofits to share their stories and connect with individuals throughout Arizona is a valuable asset to our community, and whereas every individual in Arizona is encouraged to contribute to the strength of nonprofit organizations, and whereas Donations made to Arizona nonprofits help to rally volunteers, change lives, build leaders, allow citizens to build networks, and fight for rights and champion community causes. And whereas Arizona nonprofits impact our local economy and all individuals. Now therefore, I, Diane Jones, Mayor of the City of Cottonwood, hereby proclaim March 20th, 2013 as Arizona Gives Day in Cottonwood. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, this 5th day of March 2013. And is there anyone here, Ms. Jimenez, to accept this?
Margie Beach.
Oh, Margie's here to accept it. Okay. So, are you the photographer? Sure. Okay, let's see. So if you'd just like to come up here on behalf of my colleagues. Sure. And we appreciate all of their support. We would just like to give you this proclamation. Thank you. And hope that it looks good on your wall. It will. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And your description of it really helped because, you know, these are so formal. Sometimes they're difficult to understand, and you really helped us understand what we can all do as a community.
There is a sheet of paper here. There aren't a lot of them, but there's some
Okay.
information.
So there's some information there. Okay, we have another proclamation. And this is a proclamation declaring March 30th, 23 as Welcome Home Vietnam Veteran Day in Cottonwood. And in this proclamation, we'll also talk about the Veterans Wall that will be located for 4 days, March 28th through 31st, at the Cottonwood, I guess, junior high elementary school football playfield is where it will be located. But we will actually have the Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day event will be at the Kids Park on Saturday. So let's see if it says all of that. I read this, and it's very small print, so bear with me. It was long. Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day, March 30th, 2013. Whereas the Vietnam War was fought in the Republic of South Vietnam from 1961 to 1975, and involved North Vietnamese regular forces and Viet Cong guerrilla forces in armed conflict with the United States Armed Forces and the Army of the Republic of Vietnam. And whereas by the end of 1965, there were 80,000 United States troops in Vietnam, and by late 1969, a peak of approximately 543,000 troops was reached, and whereas it is time for all of us in the spirit of pride and gratitude to recall the heroic accomplishments of the 58,195 servicemen and women whose names are listed on the Vietnam Memorial Wall. And whereas we also wish to recognize the 623 men and women from the great state of Arizona who gave the ultimate sacrifice, and thank them for their unselfish devotion to duty. And whereas the American Veterans Traveling Tribute journeys the expanse of the United States to honor, respect, and remember those who served, and whereas the American Veterans Traveling Tribute and Traveling Wall, the Vietnam Memorial Wall, will be brought to Cottonwood on March 28th through 31st, 2013, and a ceremony will be held to honor local veterans and active duty servicemen and women on March 28th, which is sponsored by the City of Cottonwood. And whereas on March 30th, 1973, the United States Armed Forces completed the withdrawal of combat units and combat support units from South Vietnam. And whereas March 30th, 2013 would be an appropriate day to honor those members of the United States Armed Forces who served with a Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day. Now therefore, I, Diane Jones, Mayor of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, on behalf of the Cottonwood City Council, do hereby proclaim March 30th, 2013 as Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day in Cottonwood, Arizona, and call upon all citizens to honor and recognize the contributions of veterans who served in the United States Armed Forces in Vietnam during war and during peace, and to encourage the people of Cottonwood to observe Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day with appropriate ceremonies and activities that A, provide the appreciation Vietnam War veterans deserve but did not receive upon returning home from the war, and B, demonstrate the resolve that never again shall the nation disregard and denigrate a generation of veterans. And so if we could get, if we could get any Vietnam veterans in the room to come up and be recognized, I'd appreciate that. And if we could get our council member Howdegi is a Vietnam veteran, and if we could get the vice mayor whose husband served in 2 branches of the service, as I understand
Air
it.
Force and Seabees.
And my husband, Paul, also served in Vietnam in 1969. If we could get you all to come up and be recognized.
Good job.
And I'd just like to say thank you for your service so much. And we just want to say, are there any veterans of any other wars here tonight, if you would raise your hand? Jules, we would like to recognize you for your service and thank you for your service too. Okay, the next item is call to the public. This portion of the agenda is set aside for the public to address the council regarding an item that is not listed on the agenda for discussion. However, the council cannot engage in discussion regarding any item that is not officially listed on the agenda for discussion and/or action per ARS 38-431-02H. Comments are limited to a 5-minute time period. And I do not have any forms, but is there anyone who would like to speak about something that's not on the agenda? Okay, we'll close the floor to the public. The next item is presentation plaque of appreciation from Toys for Tots to the Cottonwood Fire Department and Amy and Troy Hoke. And do we have Chris? Is Chris here tonight? Chris Vogler? All right. Chris, if you would come up to the lectern and please share information with us about why you are nominating these folks for this award.
Well, this has been long in coming for the Cottonwood Fire Department and Troy and Amy Hoke. Without their support, we would not be able to have a Toys for Tots in our community. We have a lot of volunteers, but these guys, they donate so many hours and they're available day and night. I've called on Troy and Amy at 9 o'clock on a Sunday night to come and help unload semi-trucks full of books and things, and he's been there. and the Cottonwood Fire, they're always there to help me load. This year they started bagging toys for us, and like I said, I can't say enough about it, so I wanted to do a special award for them. And also the city of Cottonwood, I believe there's, Hezekiah's not here, but I brought a plaque for the Cottonwood Rec Center because they have, we've outgrown every place we were having our parties. And the rec center stepped up and allowed us to use their facility for our Cottonwood party. And we have close to 500 kids, plus their families and their siblings, so it's really pushing it. So
And we
I
have
brought a plaque
Richard,
for
we have
them.
Richard Faust here tonight.
That's who I thought came
Yes.
in. There, yeah, so you can get their plaque for them. So we'll start with Cottonwood Fire and Chief. I always call him Chief. That's the only name I know him by. I think there
They all
was,
really call.
well, there was, oh, there, back there. There you are. I run into you at everywhere.
Because he's everywhere.
Oh, everybody at once?
At the end.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
you're welcome. And here is a Christmas ornament to hang on your tree.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you
All right.
again.
And don't, so don't get too far away, because we're going to do a photo
Picture
at
of
the
you.
end, when everybody gets
And
theirs.
Amy and Troy Hope. I got a text last night asking me if I knew why they were being asked to attend the city council meeting, and I said, no.
I
Were
have
you
no
asked?
idea.
So they didn't know till I walked in the door. This is for you guys. And I know it's not a lot, but it means a lot to me too.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. And Mr. Faust. Thank you.
Okay, so I'd also like to thank my colleagues on the city council for your support of this event. I know that a lot of you attend and support the children of the community. And if we could, it would be great if we could get Keith up here also, Keith Fogler. And Chris,
You guys want to
we're going to come up for,
over here? And we'll- Against the wall like it's a mugshot.
I would give my husband an award too, because every year he says, you're not doing this again.
Okay, you guys are going to have to get cozier now.
is there anybody who's shorter that can get in front?
Not really, they're all up.
Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3.
Richard's leaning out.
Great.
Thank you for our fantastic fire department. I know that they get those little bicycles and they put them all together, and they do a lot with the toys. And of course, Chris and Keith, they just spend an amazing amount of time. And this is all for our children, our little ones, who would not have a very nice Christmas if it weren't for all of these people. So let's give them another big hand. Thank you for caring about our children, and Cottonwood is a community that cares about its kids. And you guys just proved that. So thank you very much. Okay, the next item is approval of minutes, council retreat held January 7th, 2013, and the regular meeting of February 19th, 2013. And I would like to table the retreat minutes, and we're still working on them basically, but I would entertain a motion to approve the regular meeting of February 19th, 2013.
I move to approve the regular meeting of February 19th, 2013.
Second.
Okay, so Vice Mayor made the motion, Councilmember Norman seconded it. Mr. Pratt, did you have something to add?
No.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, comments regarding items listed on the agenda are limited to a 5-minute time period per speaker. So item number 10 is old business. Number 1 under 10 is ordinance number 594, amending the zoning map of the city of Cottonwood, Arizona, for a parcel of land totaling approximately 105 acres in size, Quail Canyon subdivisions, units 1 and 2, so as to change certain district boundaries and classifications thereof from the present zoning of R1L70, residential single family, to PAD, planned area development, second and final reading. And as I read the minutes, I noted that this was discussed in detail at the first reading. And so if you would like to just sort of update the public who might not have been here for the first meeting
Sure.
on this item.
Mayor and Council, this was reviewed initially by the City Council on February 16th. It's a request for a change of zoning for subdivision, an existing subdivision known as Quail Canyon. It's located along the south side of Quail Springs Ranch Road, about a mile west of Old 279. It was annexed by the City of Cottonwood in 2011. It's in an area of large lot, meets and bounds properties, primarily somewhat southwest of the city. It's already developed, was encumbered by a series of wash corridors early on in the platting process. The applicant, L. Gradigan, had approached the city following annexation for the purpose of securing a series of variances to enable adjustments to the building envelopes for lots that were specifically encumbered by these wash corridors. There are 10 of them. As part of the zoning action, we would be adopting a new site plan for the subdivision. It does not change any property boundaries, simply make some adjustments to the building envelopes, the areas within which the residential structures could be actually developed and was constructed, excuse me. The significance of the planned area development has only to do with the site plan. There would be no changes to the property boundaries or the development standards. The one item that staff highlighted as part of the action had to do with specifically an exception that would be provided as part of the action, eliminating the need to submit a master development plan for the subdivision. Again, this has only to do with a built subdivision. There was a community meeting on the request a couple of months back. The advertisements have appeared in the local press. We've contacted the neighbors. On January 28th, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval subject to the following stipulations. Then an exception is approved subject to Section 424B15, relieving the requirement to submit a master development plan on the basis that the subdivision is already platted, fully developed, was accepted by the city as part of the annexation which occurred in 2011, and in the interest of protecting the integrity of the existing wash corridors. Secondly, that the residential sites be developed in conformance with the letter of intent dated December 28th of 2012 and with the associated site plan. Third, that disclosure statements be recorded for the adjacent lots acknowledging the adjusted setbacks. Madam Mayor.
Okay. Council, questions, comments on that item?
I think, as you said, we asked all our questions and made all our
Les.
comments. It was a pretty extensive discussion on this.
And the property owner, Mr. Gradigan, is here this evening, and did he get a chance to speak? I was absent from that meeting, so I I'm not sure. Is there anything that you would want to say, Mr. Gretajen?
I'm expert, Madam Mayor, because I'm just an ordinary guy, just gotta get...
Okay, so Mr. Dave Gardner here is also here. Thank
Good
you,
evening,
Mr.
Madam
Gardner.
Mayor, council members. I'm Mike Gardner with Casa Verde Consulting here in Cottonwood. I believe, as we've discussed, everything's been discussed over and over, but I'm certainly available to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. How about members of the public? Is there anyone who would like to comment or ask a question of Mr. Gardner? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Gardner. So I would entertain a motion. Mr. Pratt?
I move to approve ordinance number 594, authorizing a zoning change for the Quail Canyon subdivision.
Okay, Mr. Pratt made the motion, Mr. Dowling seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. City Clerk, please read ordinance number 594 by title only.
Ordinance number 594, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, amending the zoning map of the city of Cottonwood, Arizona for a parcel of land totaling approximately 105 acres in size, Quail Canyon subdivisions units 1 and 2, so as to change certain district boundaries and classifications thereof from the present zoning of R1L 70 residential single family to PAD planned area development.
Thank you very much. Okay, item number 11 is the consent agenda, and there are no items on the consent tonight. So we'll move right on to new business. Item number 12. The following items are for council discussion, consideration, and possible legal action. Item number 1 is resolutions number 2686 and 2687, appointing members to the city's Historic Preservation Commission.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. This item has to do with the appointment of 2 members to the City of Cottonwood's Historic Preservation Commission. The Historic Preservation Commission was formed about 2 years ago by the council, had its first meeting January 2011. Tonight there is, one of the requests is for a reappointment, Annabelle Scalippa, and then there is a request for a new member. There are 3 openings, and there's 2 applications. So the Historic Preservation Commission is charged with advancing the interests of historic preservation in Cottonwood. One of the key programs that was of interest to be part of in forming this commission was to get involved with a program that's through the state, that's part of a federal program. It's the relationship of the city to the state to the federal government through it's called the Certified Local Government Program. One of the requirements there is that a certain number of members of a commission, first of all, you have to have a commission, and secondly, a majority of the commission members need to have some demonstrated background in some aspect of history. And so that would be a consideration in appointing anybody to this commission, that there's some demonstrated background according to that standard. And in this case, there's good candidates. The second candidate is for the new position is Marie Palawoda, and I believe both of the members are here to address the council. There's 2 resolutions that would be adopted, and we were setting the terms from this point forward for 3 years, and that was the way that was supposed to. There was 2-year terms and 1-year terms, so that they got balanced and weren't all up at the same time. So that would work out to move for 3-year terms for each of these members.
And so, as I understand it, for members of the public who are interested, we still have 1 opening.
There is.
And we would be interested in taking applications of interest for that 3rd position. But tonight we have 2 people who have applied for this board, and one is Annabelle Scalippa, and she has been on since the beginning, I believe.
That's right.
And then we have a new member of the public, Marie Palawoda, who is, got tons of credentials. reading her application. So I'd like to invite the two of you up to share with us why you would like to serve on this board and share with members of the public why you would like to serve and how you think that you can make a difference.
Madam Mayor, Council, I had the opportunity to serve for the past 2 years, and it has been a bit of an arduous process, but I think it's so critically important. Cottonwood has the Verde River, and we have our history, and those are, well, now we have wine as well, but they're certainly two of our greatest assets. So I think to work to try to help preserve them are very critical, and it would be a pleasure to serve in that position again.
Well, you've done a great job also, so we appreciate you.
Thank you.
I'm Marie Palawoda. I came to the Verde Valley in 2006, living here seasonally. I've worked for the Park Service here and in New Mexico. I have an avid interest in and training in archaeology, which is one of the things that brought me here. I bought a house here almost 2 years ago, and I think it's very important to make a contribution to the community in which I live. And I've served in Colorado on several boards in the arts and on not quite a city council, but a little town council. So with my background in arts and archaeology, I think that I could make a contribution here on this commission for the city of Cottonwood. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any questions, council members? Do members of the public have any questions or comments? Okay, thank you so much for sharing. Council, so it's not any discussion on this item. I think we have two really great candidates.
Two very fine candidates. If I may, Madam Mayor, may I
Please,
make a
Mr.
motion?
Hadeghi.
I move to approve resolution number 2686, appointing Annabelle Schlippa to the Historic Preservation Commission and establishing her term of office.
Okay, and would you like to go ahead with the second one also?
I will, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
I move to approve resolution number 2687, appointing Marie Palawoda to the Historic Preservation Commission and establishing her term of office.
Second.
Okay, so Mr. Hadeghi made the motion on both of these resolutions, and was that Mr. Pratt that seconded it? Mr. Pratt seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. City Clerk, please read resolution numbers 2686 and 2687 by title only.
Resolution number 2686, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, appointing Annabelle Schlippa, a member of the city's Historic Preservation Commission, and establishing her term of office. Resolution number 2687, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, appointing Marie Palawoda, a member of the city's Historic Preservation Commission, and establishing her term of office. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, and congratulations. Okay, the item number 2 under new business is approval of a job order contracting bid submitted by Arizona Northern Equipment for railroad wash drainage improvements. And we have Mr. Luder with us to explain this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council's probably familiar with this project. It's been in the capital budget for several years. And basically what this will do is pipe and improve the stormwater drainage from the southernmost entrance into the hospital off of Willard down to almost 89A. This project, the major funding for this comes from the Abercrombie County Flood Control District, and there's also a contribution from the Verde Valley Medical Center. There's some water lines that are under the wash that need to be relocated. And then the City of Cottonwood would be extending the sidewalk from the entrance down to 89A, which also helped minimize the cost of this design by being able to bring the pipe up a little bit higher. So staff is recommending approval of the bid from Arizona Northern Equipment. We received 3 bids. Arizona Northern Equipment came in at a total of $222,000. Kinney Construction came in at a total of $240,327, and Tiffany Construction came in at a total of $277,017.97.
Okay, those were kind of far apart, it seems like.
And we've seen that with the job order contracting, that it depends on whose pencil happens to be sharpest on that project.
And maybe who needs the work the most, and we've talked about that before. Okay, questions for Dan? Mr. Pratt?
Yeah, what does add/alternate mean?
An add alternate is, it gives staff the option of excluding that particular portion of the bid from the job should the price come in too high. So the base bid includes all of the work, and then the add alternate is something that after we review it, we have the option of not including in the bid.
Okay.
Are there any members of the public who would like to comment on this item? I know that it's always, Railroad Wash has received a lot of funds from the county. And just to be sure that our citizens understand that these funds come from the property taxes of the citizens of Cottonwood. So you actually are paying into your property taxes to the county, and that all goes into a major fund for the county. And then the different cities and towns will kind of ask the county to fund our projects. And so this is where those funds are coming from. Any other comments from our council? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the bid submitted by Arizona Northern Equipment for the Railroad Wash drainage improvements in the amount of $222,000, which includes the add alternate.
Second.
Mr. Pratt made the motion, Councilmember Norman seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 3, approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Arizona State Parks Board for improvements to a parcel of property owned by Arizona State Parks located by the jail trail. Mr. Luter.
Madam Mayor, on February 12th, Council was presented with some parking lot concepts and gave staff direction to proceed with one of the concepts. As a portion of that, the entrance to the Old Town Jail is actually Arizona State Parks process. There's approximately 0.17 acres that is owned and controlled by state parks. What this intergovernmental agreement will allow us to do is go in there, repair that area along with the parking lot, and basically is an agreement between the city and the State Parks Department to allow this work to take place. We had hoped to have it completed in time for council to review the agreement. However, there was a holdup in the Attorney General's office, and we didn't get the final contract up, but the city attorney is very well versed on this. So you'll notice the motion is subject to approval, a final approval of the form of agreement by the city attorney.
Okay. So, Mr. Ilinsky, yes.
I apologize because I wasn't at the last meeting where it was discussed, but are we approving the IGA? So we're not approving the IGA separately from the development on the property? We're approving both tonight?
No, we're just approving the IGA. The actual design, we're probably another 10 to 14 days out in completing the design. And the parking lot itself, we will bring back to council for approval because it will be over the threshold that requires council approval.
Okay. Because there were drawings attached, right? Or am I getting this confused? This is just a legal description?
Right, these are just the legal descriptions.
Okay, because I'm sorry, I read the other packet too from the meeting that I missed, so I'm getting my things confused. So that's fine, thanks.
Okay.
Any comments from the public on this item?
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Bartosh.
For Councilmember Alinsky's benefit, if you're interested in seeing those plans, you certainly let us know and we'll set up a time to do that.
Yeah, they were the ones that were in the packet, because I did read the packet, I saw the plans.
Okay.
And so I just didn't know if tonight was the night to comment on that, or just on we're just approving the IGA tonight, is all we did. Okay.
Okay, so I will close the floor to the public, and I'd entertain a motion.
I move to authorize the city to enter into an IGA with the Arizona State Parks Board for construction and maintenance of a parking lot on ASP property near the Old Town Jail, and to authorize the mayor to execute the agreement on the city's behalf, subject to approval of the final form of agreement by the city attorney.
Second.
Mr. Pratt made the motion, the vice mayor seconded it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And I apologize to Councilmember Pratt for the length of the motion, but our city attorney wrote it.
Yeah, I thought it was legalese.
It's covering all the bases. All right, the next item is request from the Boys and Girls Club for possible funding by the city, and Council Member Howdigi turned this item in along with Vice Mayor Pfeiffer for discussion. So did you want to have Connie Diedrich come up and explain?
Yes.
Okay, so if Ms. Diedrich will come up and explain the request.
Good evening, Mayor Jones, Vice Mayor, and council members. I want to thank you first for putting us on the agenda so quickly and to come before you this evening to discuss our situation. As I briefly spoke to last time in the call to the public, we have been restructuring, for over a year, and right now we're in our funding phase. We have an opportunity of a $25,000 matching grant. So to date, we've already raised, actually over the last 2 weeks, we've raised $8,000 already. We're also in the Arizona Gives, the March 20th. We feel that this would be a good opportunity for us to come forward and try to get some more money if the city is so inclined to help us through this, hardship, but then also give us momentum. We're doing some other things. We've already have events planned. We're going to be doing a lot of broadcasting. We have a pretty big goal we're trying to meet, but we're fighting to keep our doors open. We're like other nonprofits. It's been somewhat of a struggle, but we know that we've cut all our overhead, like I said last time, and we're ready to move forward with just the fundraising part now. We have 8 new board members. We're going to be seating a regional. I went with our regional director today and the operations director for our region. We will be putting together a pretty big campaign plan over the next few weeks. He's going to be also flying back in, but I have a regional director that flew in from California and is actually here this evening too. So we're just here to ask for your help. But I could stand up here and talk all night, but I have some parents that would like to speak and the kids, and I would like to introduce our regional director if that's okay with you, because I think what they have to say is more than I could say. So if you don't mind, I would love to do that. So first I'd like to introduce our regional director, Jane Deal. I also have our board president here, Tammy, and also new board members that are coming on and a lot of parents. So I appreciate your time.
So for the city clerk's record, do you need them each to fill out one of the yellow forms for us or not?
I do, but I need their names.
Okay, so
Okay.
if you could,
I'll pass
each
those
person
out.
that's going to speak, if you could grab a form and start writing.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. And yes, absolutely. Anybody who would like to speak is welcome to do so, and we would like to hear from you.
Thank you.
I have a card here, too. Good evening. Jim Stratton. Jim Stratton says hello, by the way. Good evening, and thank you for allowing me some time, Madam Mayor and City Council people, City Council members, I'm sorry. My name is Jane Barry Deal, and I'm Regional Service Director for Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And I have a territory, and that involves clubs in Arizona and parts of California. And I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of the Cottonwood Boys and Girls Club, which I know has been in existence for 15 years and has been doing great things for the kids of your community. And like you just talked about the resolution about Community Gives, it's with everyone's help that a Boys and Girls Club can stay alive and well within a community. We use an analogy of a stool that you sit on or stand on, and that if each leg is important, and that's with corporate support and annual support, but also government support. And we're very, very fortunate that in other communities, despite the economic hardships, other cities and counties have helped support our Boys and Girls Clubs. And as you know, and the kids have been so quiet, I didn't even, you probably didn't even know that there were kids in the audience this evening. I really want to commend them for their being so polite and quiet. But they are the future of your community. And part of the mission of Boys and Girls Clubs is to serve the kids who need them most and to create healthy lifestyles, character and leadership, and academic success so they can go out and become city council people and give back to their own communities. So with that, I'd love to answer any questions, but I'm proud to be here, and I hope that you see the need and are able to help them.
And I just wanted to comment that we do support the Boys and Girls Club, and have we ever figured out the value of a building if they would have to rent a similar building?
No, we have not, Madam Mayor. You're probably looking at $1 a square foot, the going rate.
That's what the going rate is. So we do provide their building for $1 a year. So we feel like we do contribute some. My other question is, do all Boys and Girls Clubs in every district that you are over, do they do annual audits of their books by professional accountants?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Any other questions from members of?
I'll do a
Mr.
Pratt, and
Huddy?
I'll say I have a comment,
Okay.
not a question.
Okay.
Being on the council when this Boys Club came to fruition in this community, and speaking at one time with former city manager Mickelson, and it was always his feelings that he expressed to me that the city would probably have to, in some ways, financially support the Boys and Girls Club in the future. And I think in the past they've done a great job of supporting themselves, and we're here at crunch time right now to lend some assistance to our the youth of our community. And as you stated, Madam Mayor, you know, the very core of our community, our youth are very important to us. So I would hope that we can come to some sort of agreement as to some finances to help this club out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from council members or members of the public on, I guess I would say Jane because the last name I didn't quite get. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good evening. My name's Michelle Donovan, and my son here is David. He's 7, and he's been attending the Boys and Girls Club for the last 2 years since we've become residents of Cottonwood. I work at Yavapai Title Agency, and my sister is a realtor who's been here for 22 years, and I want to become and be a part of this community from here on. And as David has joined the Boys and Girls Club, he has just enjoyed it so much. David's dad is dying of a terminal disease, 2 of them, and he is now in assisted living and not in our home. Before that, we had a lot of violence and problems as a result of this disease, and David has relied on the Boys and Girls Club for that support and that self-esteem, and the men there in particular, to be the dad that he doesn't have in his home right now. If that were to end, we would be very devastated. And I just am, just as a plea to all of you and even people in this community, do that for my boy. Because he really deserves to have the support for the men here and for the sports they offer and the self-esteem and the art department and all of the things that they supply. And not just that, even the location of where it is now, the kids, they go back in that ditch and behind the building and just, they have a ball. And they've got the field there that's fenced, that's a safe playing ground for them. I don't know if that makes a difference in where you choose for them to be, but they have so enjoyed the building and the grounds there. And David just really benefits from this. He's even told me, Mom, it's been a conflict with Boys and Girls Club and Taekwondo, which we've been paying extra for Taekwondo. And he says, Mom, I really like both, but I'd rather be at Boys and Girls Club. So we're giving up Taekwondo in order for him to keep participating in all the programs at Boys and Girls Club. So thank you for listening to us tonight, and please do whatever you can to keep it open. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Donovan. And David, thank you for coming tonight.
My name is Colleen. I hate speaking. My name is Colleen Whitehurst, and I am a teacher here in Cottonwood. I moved here about 3 years ago. My son has been attending the Boys and Girls Club since we moved here. I am a single mom. My son is the only child, So everything that Michelle said just now also applies to my child. However, I think losing the Boys and Girls Club goes even beyond the kids that go there for this community. For instance, Phil and I talked a while back, and he said, well, we have a need for some volunteers. And I teach at the high school. So I put together a program where I'm now sending kids from my class after school down to help these kids. And what I've noticed is the kids that go and participate with the Boys and Girls Club for a week or two come back to my class, which isn't an easy class. Science isn't easy for a lot of kids. But they come back with more self-esteem and seem that nearly all of them, their grades have gotten better by giving to the community and working with little kids on homework and soccer and other things. So not only will we lose for our young children that we're growing up right now, but also we will lose for our kids who are older, who are able to give back to the community and start incorporating that as a part of their lifelong mission. And so I would hate to really see this close. And I also have students who can't go after school who have asked me, well, do they have fundraising projects on Saturdays or on the weekends that we can help with? So I think if we all work together, we can do something to keep this vital program here in Cottonwood to continue. Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Thank you. Yes, Mr.
Can I make
Pratt.
a comment?
Yes.
I'll be like Ruben, I won't have a question. Those of you who know me know that I always have been an avid supporter of the Boys and Girls Club. In fact, I was on their board of directors for a year. I did raise a young boy here in town who went there every day, and he really benefited from it. The costs weren't high. I could afford it, thankfully, but a lot of kids whose parents couldn't afford it, they had programs to scholarship them in, and they really served large parts of our population that really needed it. So I think it's a very important organization. However, I was just sitting here thinking that perhaps, rather than like a one-time allocation of some money, we could look at some avenues where the city of Cottonwood would maybe partner with the Boys and Girls Club. We do have some really good financial people in the city who I'm sure would be willing to work with the Boys and Girls Club. And to me, that would be more of a long-range plan. And I believe in the Boys and Girls Club totally, so I really do want to support you. But I think there might be, we could do some creative out-of-the-box thinking and come up with some other plans. I don't know how the rest of the council feels about that.
Well, okay, go ahead, Mr. Howdigi.
No, I can appreciate what Mr. Pratt just said. What we're looking at right now is a dire situation. That is, there will be no future Boys and Girls Club if they don't receive the assistance they need now. And I agree with you. To offer some assistance after and in whatever way we can is great. But right now, there is a problem here. They've got to raise this money. We know the impacts if they don't. So, you know, I would like to see us step up to the plate and give them that assistance. But I'll keep quiet and you go ahead.
Yeah. My name is Paula White. My daughter's been going for about 3 years now. And I'm also a single mom. I don't know what I would do without them. There has been, you know, sometimes kids come back from school, there's conflicts or anything. I know that I've seen a positive impact in my child. The arts and crafts, it's just amazing. The skills that they take on. I mean, there's such a learning process with them. They don't just babysit the kids. They spend quality time with them, and they encourage them. And it's just amazing what I've watched in my daughter in 3 years. And she's now 10, and the summer programs, I have to work. I don't know what I would do. You know, you can't really just trust them with just a person. But Boys and Girls Club, I support them 100%. And if I could afford to give more to the Boys and Girls Club, I would. I would donate to them if I could do that. So it's necessary for our youth, not just the ones today, but the future. I mean, we need Boys and Girls Club to stay open regardless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Shapiro, and once again, another single mother. And my son has benefited immensely from being at the Boys and Girls Club for the past, let's say he's 9.5, so since he was 5, when he was allowed to go, he was in Sedona, and then we moved out to Cornville, so he goes to the Boys and Girls Club in Cottonwood. Once again, does not have a male influence in the home. The men, the whole staff, not just the men, but the whole entire staff are stellar. They have an amazing staff. They are kind and gentle and respectful and honoring these children. They're teaching them wonderful, wonderful characteristics and traits. And I had to jump through major hoops to actually even make this happen because my son goes to a different school and they have a van and a bus, and it was like God was intervening when the van was able to meet with the bus. And because I work in Sedona most of the week and single mom, I need the summer program is an incredible part of me being able to work. I mean, if the Boys and Girls Club was not available or didn't exist, I would be working half days and we probably would be homeless. So just so you know, this club, not only would it be a detriment to these children's lives because they rely on it, they thrive, they're receiving such benefit from being there, but families, it would affect families, it would affect the whole staff, they wouldn't have work. It's a ripple effect into the whole community, and I hear that we have some people that understand what the Boys and Girls Club does, and like the prior woman that just spoke, I wish I could donate more. I wish I can give back even a small percentage of what they've already given to my family. Thank you.
Okay, hi, I'm sorry, we're not really good at speaking, but this is Avery Romero, and I'm April Romero, and I also have another son that goes to the Boys and Girls Club. I'm a little different than these people because I am not a single mom. But my son, we actually came from Rimrock where there was no after-school program, and my oldest son used to have to take them home. And, older brothers, they beat their little brothers up. They're not nice. They don't help them with their homework, blah, blah, blah. My sons would cry. My husband works in Dewey. I worked in Cottonwood. So they would just cry every day after school because they didn't want to go home with their older brother. So we actually worked out a deal where we were able to bring our kids into Cottonwood to the school districts, and then they started going to the Boys and Girls Club after school until I could get off work because I'm a medical assistant, and I can get off anywhere between 4 and 6 o'clock, and they're always really good with me, and I can call them if I have a problem and if I'm going to be late if I'm in surgeries. And the boys are just much more happier. We actually did rent out our house in Rimrock to come out here in Cottonwood so we can help a little more. They were able to participate in the parade and stuff like that, and they get their homework done, and all my boys are in sports, and it's really hard when you're in sports until 8 o'clock at night, and then these young children have to come home, and you have to spend an hour in homework, and Phil and Tom and all of them, they're just so good with these boys, and they teach them things. They come home with all these new tricks, and you should see all the lovely little gadgets and origami things that we have in our rooms. And what do you say, how much do you like it?
A lot.
So, we want to keep it open, and I also work for a gentleman in Phoenix who has tried to contribute, and I'm going to ask him again to help contribute, but they can only give so much at a time, and whatever little bit that we could get would be great, because I don't know what I would do. I couldn't send my kids home after school, and like I said, where else do you take them that you can afford? It's affordable, even though I'm not a single mom, it's affordable, where it doesn't take out of our budget. So thank you for letting us speak.
You're welcome. Thank you. To the Romero family.
My name is Brittany Allen, and like a broken record and so many of us, I'm a single parent with 4 kids. I have a full-time job and I go to school part-time. Without the Boys and Girls Club, I wouldn't be able to work. I couldn't go to school. They have done so much for my kids. We've donated toys, collectible toys that all the kids get to play with now at Boys and Girls Club. The prices are reasonable. They work with me when I can't pay that first week or that second week. They've worked with me to help me to extend what I can and help me get caught up. The influence that they have on my two younger boys, I have 4 boys. The influence that they have on my 2 youngest boys who don't have a dad in the picture is amazing. My children get to go to Boys and Girls Club. They get to sit down and they have rules. They have to do their homework before they play, just like Mom's house. So they get to do their homework. When I get off work at 5 o'clock, 5:30, and I get to pick them up and go home, now I get one-on-one time with my kids, aside from doing homework with my older 2 children at home. But now I get one-on-one time with my 2 little kids instead of trying to manipulate my time with 4. I get to concentrate on those 2 kids because Boys and Girls Club has helped them already do their homework, helped them do whatever projects they've gone, and gotten a lot of their energy out from being pent up at school all day. They get to run around. They have these amazing forts right behind, and my kids get to play outside where they don't get to at my house because it's an apartment. Without them, I'm not sure where my kids would be, who they would be with, and I know definitely I wouldn't be able to continue my education if I didn't have the Boys and Girls Club to help me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Gary Chamberlain. Shoot, maybe I should go with the Boys and Girls Club. I wouldn't be such a problem child at times. I come here with an opportunity that was started about 4 years ago that the Boys and Girls Club has taken advantage of. And though I don't really have a dog in the fight with the city of Cottonwood on this issue, I would suggest that maybe you get the Boys and Girls Club to partner. This last year, this guy right here made $7,000 picking up bags of trash on the highways, being part of the Adopt a Highway program. It became a platform for others to raise money for their groups. To those single people who are here who say there isn't an opportunity to raise money, life is about choices. It's about who you meet, who you marry, who you mate with, who you have kids with. And if that doesn't work out, where you spend your money and your time with those kids. This may seem a little harsh, but many of these parents here maybe need to give up some of the things that they like to do that some of us might have considered luxuries when I was growing up, such as sports, and go find those $10 bag opportunities which have been thrown out there to the Boys and Girls Clubs and every community youth group in this community to earn money. And Phil, I would tell you, I know Phil and Connie both. If 2 people had the energy to make this work, it's those 2. And I've been around Phil more and the kids than anyone else. But I think it's time for some of these parents to quit making excuses for their choices, to get involved in things and help fund their kids. This picking up bags of trash on the platform of the Adopt a Highway program is an opportunity for these kids and their parents to be taught to learn and earn the value of $1. And I make no excuses for making this statement. I'm very supportive of the Boys and Girls Club. They sent 5 kids out to pick up 20 bags of trash a few months ago, August 18th, I think, about 10 o'clock. Those kids learned a very valuable lesson. One of those was Sequoia Trujillo. There were 4 other kids, but Sequoia was the only one of those 5 kids who wrote an essay, who freely admitted in her essay that she used to litter. Now, why is this a big deal? Mayor Jones, you and I are very much on the same page on so many other things as far as community cleanliness. It's what people see when they come to our communities. It's what tourists don't want to see, the trash, when they come here. It's what new homeowners and buyers and businesses who bring jobs don't want to see. I just finished a 9,000-mile trip across the United States this summer. The businesses are sick and tired of the trash on their highways. They're sick and tired of youth groups, clubs, and organizations coming to them asking for money and things, and they don't want to earn it. This program that we have started 4 years ago is getting national attention. I'd like to see the Verde Valley become more of the success story of this thing. It has never been about me. It's always been about we, just so you know. But the Boys and Girls Club are going to go help clean up a shooting range this Saturday the 14th, I think it is. There will be some funding available to them. There's actually a helicopter ride that will be raffled off to one of the youth that's going to write an essay and win that raffle. So there is an opportunity of money I'm willing to support with pairing up businesses who have money they want to give and things to youth groups that want to earn it. They're sick and tired of this hand always out like this. And oh, by the way, I'm too busy with football, basketball, and everything else to do something for you. The businesses, I would tell you in 2009, probably coughed up about $9,000, $7,000, who knows what it was because we didn't put a value to it, in raffle prizes to the Adopt a Highway groups because they so appreciated what the Adopt a Highway groups did to make the communities a pleasant place for us all to live. They really appreciate it. So we have a very good chance here to do something great. I'm hoping that Doug Bartosh and Mayor Jones, you and I get together and talk about this more and more because we are under the national spotlight now. And there's some other representatives from Boys and Girls Club. I've visited with about 5 this summer, and some of them as far as Washington State. They're all in trouble. So if we can make this a success story based on a business partnership, not a bunch of emotions, not a bunch of excuses, I think we got a win-win deal here. That's all I want to say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chamberlain.
My name is Jonathan Haregi, and my son's name is Jarrett Haregi, and he's been at the Boys and Girls Club a member for 3 years now. It's been an excellent opportunity for Jarrett, who is an only child, to be able to be around other kids his age in an environment that has rules and is a positive place for my son. 3 years ago I started to look around the community, and yes, it is very easy to find a sitter that would watch your child and possibly be at the house and just watch television. But my son, for the last 2 semesters, has been on the dean's list, and it's because after school he's been able to go and do his homework, be in a supervised atmosphere, have used to a computer in which he is able to do practice learning skills, and he has also been able to participate in sports and other youth activities. And I would ask the council for their continued support, and I thank you for your support in the past. I'm sure there's hundreds of testimonials of kids and parents in this community, and we're just another one. I work for the United States Postal Service as a city carrier, and as I travel around the community on various routes, I see children that don't necessarily know of opportunities and that are available, and I would hope that council would continue to support us so we could be another choice for those children and their families. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haragi.
Yes, Haregi.
Haregi, okay.
No relationship to your current
Okay,
councilman.
all right.
Good evening. I'm Randy Kepi, and I'm the principal at Cottonwood Elementary School. So I have about 460 kids that I claim as my own, and several of them go to Boys and Girls Club. And I just want to say that they're very supportive of our school. I know that they provide that time for homework help for our students, and we have a lot of struggling students, and also that they come during lunchtime, which is always a blessing, so I thank them. They have staff members that come during lunchtime to be with our students. They set up organized games, they play basketball with them, and the kids just love them, and it's just a blessing to have them. So hope you continue to support them or help support them. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Kat Masson. Thank you for hearing us today and the offer of support for the Boys and Girls Club. I want to first introduce my son, Chris Maston, member of Cottonwood Boys and Girls Club. Tell him what you think of the place.
It's great.
And little details. Come on, you talk more than this at home. Anybody who knows Chris, especially the crew at the Boys and Girls Club, knows that he is hard to shut up. So you never know, you might be voting for him way out in the future here.
That would be good.
Again, my name is Kat Maston. We've been here since 2009. Chris and I moved into the area, and on a flip of a coin, we moved to Cottonwood. It was a wild adventure of ours. And one of the first places we went to was the Cottonwood Library. Thanks to the crew there, we met some people, got connected. Second place was school. Third place for him while I was searching for a job. We hooked him up at the Boys and Girls Club, and it's never been a mistake. I've since found employment part-time. I also work out of my home. He is more than willing to take, or able and welcome to take a bus home every day after school, and he doesn't want to. He wants to be at the Boys and Girls Club. We did what the first parent attested to. We put him in Taekwondo, and you know, gun-ho and everything else. He went through 4 belts and said, Mom, I really miss the Boys and Girls Club. I want to go back to my buddies, you know? And I went, okay, well, which friends are you missing? Maybe we can set up a play date. No, I want to go back with Phil and with all the other members of the club because they're fun to hang out with, you know? They make an adventure, and again, it's a repeat, but my child does his homework at the Boys and Girls Club. They have the same rules that I was raised at, the good moral institutions of the way a lot of us were raised. Wash your hands before you eat, you know. Arts and crafts. They can take computer classes. They can either learn computer classes or they can play video games, but still teaching the keyboard, still teaching eye-hand coordination. They get sports. He loves to go on Fridays. They have court days where they go out on the court and shoot ball and this and that and dodgeball. And they play in the field over there. We love the field because it's completely fenced in. We don't have to worry about pedophilers or anybody else coming over that fence because this crew is the best. They've got people out there. Always, every activity that they have running in this building and outside the building is supervised, including forts that are built in the ditch during dry season of trees and tree limbs and this and that, and they teach them how to strap them together. These are skills. I'm sorry, I will never teach my child because I don't know and I don't want to go play with mesquite all day long. It's pokey, right? So these guys do a great job no matter what it is that they do with the children. It's all positive. And I've never seen them complain once. If you're late, even if you're a couple of minutes late, they're like, hey, you know, hey, we were here anyways, no big deal. They're always supportive. And remember, always remember, nobody raises a child. There is no one person raising a child. Community raises a child, you know. And so I don't see my kid, but what, 4 hours a day during waking day? You know, I bring him home from the Boys and Girls Club, feed him dinner, have movies, some family entertainment, because homework's done, and then he goes to bed. It's these guys who spend multiple hours with my children. It's our schools that spend multiple hours with our children. Other people raise our children. So I'm very much in support of the Boys and Girls Club, their morals, the way they raise my child. I think it's great. Please support them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to the Matson family.
Hello, I'm Shanna Smith. I'm with the Foster Grandparent Program, and I just wanted to come and speak to you today because we partner with Boys and Girls Club, and I know when we're looking at funding, I frequently get asked, do you partner with other people? And so I just wanted to let you know that they partner with us. They readily signed with us about 7 years ago, and we've provided numerous senior volunteers to the club for after school, and during the summer it provides the intergenerational aspect, and it gives our volunteers, you know, an outlet to help children. They're all background checked and cleared and all of that. So I just wanted to let you know that they're very good about that. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. Thanks for the time to address you this evening. I probably come at this from a little different perspective. Chris is a good friend of mine, and I hope that I'm a mentor in his life and so on. But I also come because I have a contract with the Public Defender's Office. I'm an attorney, and I practice in delinquency law. And I see so many times young people that end up in trouble because they haven't had the structure necessary and haven't had the guidance as they've come through their formative years. And these kids are going to bind with someone. There's going to be a bond there with someone. I think we need to ensure as a community that we have the right people for them to bond with. And these people come from places like the Boys and Girls Club. I can tell you that Chris has been mentored very much by Phil and Thomas both. I've had clients whose names, of course, I won't bring up here, that I've had the opportunity to refer to the Boys and Girls Club. I've seen the results that these folks can have with kids that are in trouble and also with kids before they get in trouble. Really, the community is somewhat lacking in these kinds of resources. And keeping the Boys and Girls Club here, I think, is very important to the community. I think you've heard a lot of the collateral effects, too, not just for the boys and girls, but also for the parents that are allowed to go to work, putting money into our economy, keeping them off the welfare rolls, those kinds of things. If we're providing affordable child care with positive influence, I just don't see where we can better spend our money. The mayor mentioned earlier, this is a community that clearly cares about its children. And I think this is just another way to demonstrate that. I would also comment, though, that I think Mr. Pratt's comment is well taken, that while we're at a crisis point now where there's a limited amount of time to perhaps get the matching funds to make sure of the survival of the club now in the short term, I think a more long-range plan is absolutely called for. And to the gentleman with the Adopt a Highway, I think those kinds of ideas are very, very good. So perhaps we won't get to the point where it's a crisis and it has to be, we need money and we need money now. So I also agree that long-range planning is probably better. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And your name again, sir? Your name again was?
Gary Horton.
Gary Horton. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Horton.
All right, I think I'm the last one. My name is Philip Van Gorp. I've been with the Boys and Girls Club for over 4.5 years now, and have been doing the branch director position now for the last while. And I got to say, I have the best job in the world. I do. These kids mean everything to me. I've seen these kids grow for years, and the changes that's happened is come and look at the club and see the kids. You'll see it. It's a different, when you walk into that building, the joy that you see from these kids' faces, it's inspiring. I love my job, and I do want to thank you guys for the building, for helping us, the support that you've already given to us. Without you guys, we wouldn't be there anyways, and I do want to say thank you, and thank you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Phil, thank you for the job that you do, because you're well known in the community for good work.
Hi, I'm Darrell Smith, Cottonwood, and I would kind of like to echo Mr. Pratt. This looks like a no-brainer. Thank you.
Okay, so what I would like to share is, as we say, we have some immediate needs for funding. Could I find out from you, what is the deadline for your grant that you're working on? So they'll give you $25,000 if you come up with the $25,000 match.
Right, they didn't put, it's from our regional, the corporate, so it's not really a deadline. Our real deadline is our own deadline, which is kind of March 31st, so I believe that with an infusion from the city and long-term planning, I agree with Councilmember Pratt, it is a community effort, and we have made great strides to get here and to be before you today with really the leanest budget possible, but we know what our goals are, and that is for our children. We do it every single day and for that reason only. So basically, it would be great to get that. We'd have $50,000, that would carry us for a few months, and we could sit down in that interim time and really come up with a great game plan. We've got some great new board members coming online that are really already out in the community, helping raise funds, you know, a lot of new blood. You know, it took time to get here to form this whole new group, but we have a task group of parents and board members and other people, 20-plus strong, and that's only going to grow. So I firmly believe, you know, we meet every Tuesday right now. So I firmly believe that with everybody's support and everybody's points of view and ideas, we're going to make it the strongest Boys and Girls Club that's ever been in this valley.
With that date in mind, I would like to ask the council and suggest, because we do have another meeting on the 19th, which is before your deadline. What I would like is for the Boys and Girls Club to meet with our staff and talk about one thing, you know, your financials, because like with the Verde Valley Humane Society and with the Senior Center and with a whole bunch of other nonprofits, our staff works with them and tries, you know, Rudy's just like an amazing person to help. Maybe, you know, there's something that staff can help you with on, you know, managing your funds and that sort of thing. But if you have, you know, that time, it would be good for staff to be able to work with you and bring some information back to the council, you know, on how we can help you. And the other thing is that you shared with us when you spoke at the call to the public a couple of weeks ago that you had lost your largest fundraiser.
Correct.
And so, you know, the city,
Sedona
if
Taste.
it's donating taxpayer dollars, wants to make sure that this is a sustainable effort.
Correct, and that's what we're working toward now, basically, is building the new foundation, making sure it's sustainable, and you need everybody, like our regional director earlier said, we know the parts of the pie that we need. We need the city, we need our donors, we need our fundraisers, we need our parents, we need our kids. You know, it's a community effort, whether it's a car wash or the Sedona Taste, it's constantly about bringing in the money, but then also being part of the community, going to pick up trash, making sure we're helping the seniors. It doesn't matter, but we need to be a bigger part, and that's how we're going to grow and be a more core of our community. So that's what we're moving toward, and we're putting together, I'm meeting with the operations manager, the new one that National just put together. He's thinking about coming back the 19th. We're putting together a 100-day plan. You know, we're really serious about making sure that we're sustainable. It's not just about today, it's about 10 years from now.
Exactly.
And that's what we want to make sure that we're going to succeed. So really, the end goal is by the end of August, we need a year's worth of operating capital. I believe with all the people and with your help, we're going to do that. Then we can start focusing on 2014. We're going to get, you know, 2 or 3 years of capital in the bank within a year and a half. It can be accomplished. We just need to do it as a team.
Right.
So that's,
Okay,
we would
and so
gladly.
the other thing that I wanted to share with you is, it seems to me that you need another kind of signature fundraising event, because you've kind of lost the Sedona one. And a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago, I spoke with Lindsay Higginson, who is now the president of the Old Town Association.
Okay.
And she was talking about a fundraiser for the community garden. And so today I was like, well, what could we do to help with a signature fundraiser for the Boys and Girls Club? So I did call her on the phone today, and I talked to her. I said, what about, and so what we talked about is the event would be where you would go from business to business, and they would provide like a piece of a meal, an entree or a part of a meal. And this was sort of what we were talking about. So I called her and said, you know, what if we did this for the community garden, just would get a little piece of it, but if we would kind of talk about the Boys and Girls Club. So she liked that idea, and, you know, so I would like a little bit of time to visit with her, and that would be the sustainable piece if that would work out. Maybe it won't work out. But you guys need some real, I mean, if you lost the Sedona Taste, that's big.
Well, I'm open to all options. We are looking at, you know, there's another nonprofit that wants to partner. I actually wanted to do the Taste this year because I firmly believe we can, and they're located in Sedona. But I said, look, we're finishing restructuring. The Sedona taste is labor intensive. It's a 10-month, sit down and put all your resources into it. I said, let's focus on a date for 2014. So I really don't think we've lost that. I think we are just taking a break. But I think we need to grow over here. I don't think we've ever really partnered, in a lot of events over here. We've done a lot of stuff in Sedona, but we've always served more of our populace over here. So it's really about growing everything. That's why it's always, everybody's like, well, you're starting over. I'm like, yeah, but we're going to come back bigger and better. It's kind of like rebuilding your home, and that's what we're doing. And I firmly believe that with everybody in ideas like that, we need to partner. I believe, I was saying kids and dogs, what a great event.
Absolutely.
People really love animals and they love kids. So it'd be great to do something with the Humane Society. I think we need to partner more. Us nonprofits really need to think outside the box and form more partnerships because we all struggle at some point in time. So we're open to all suggestions. And I think this is just a really good starting point.
And the important thing right now is
Excuse me, Vice Mayor had her hand up.
Did you have your hand up, Vice Mayor?
And you're next then.
That's okay.
I couldn't say it.
That's all right, go ahead.
And you're next right after her.
And I believe, like Mr. Chamberlain said, involve the children in these fundraisers, involve the children in, so they have a place to call home that they've earned and they've worked for. And they can appreciate it a whole lot more if they have earned it and they have worked for it. And that helps the community and it helps their citizenship. It just helps everybody all the way around. If the children, they're amazing what kids can do. And I'd like to see the children involved in as much as we can get them involved in with the fundraisers and with the Boys and Girls Club.
I agree.
The children and the parents.
Well, I know, but if the parents will be there, but the children and parents, you're right.
We just recently formed, as part of our new restructuring, we just formed a parent task force, because we believe that too, that everybody has to be accountable, that we all need to work together. So we're putting together car washes, so the parents' responsibility is they have to bring them to the car wash and they have to help. Because when the community sees that, they're willing then, hey, we need to give the Boys and Girls Club, because we see them out there every weekend or once a month or, all of that. So it's really, we're reorganizing the Boys and Girls Club. The whole, our mission's going to stay the same. We know that we need to serve all of our young people, but times have changed, and we also need to be out in the community and giving back, and we know that. So that's really where we're going.
And that was kind of, to go along with that, Lindsay, you just reminded me, Lindsay Higginson had mentioned that, maybe we could do something with the kids being involved and stuff like that.
The kids would love to garden. I mean, that's one thing. I know the Forest Service put in a grant for us to get some gardening, because I know that, that's, again, all those things, kids just don't know unless they get their hands in it and are actually watching things grow, and then they get to do the fruit of their labors. It's just the same as getting out in the community.
And we need to connect you with our city clerk, because she is managing the community garden now, and a big piece of it is going to be about children. So,
that'd be great.
Yeah. So, I would, Mr. Hudegi, excuse me.
That's okay. This whole situation, as I've been listening, it's fine. There's a lot of good ideas for the long term, and I appreciate that. I don't agree with Mr. Chamberlain about sports not being important. I think they're extremely important when you're growing up. One who has participated in them, and maybe I rode a lot of pine and didn't play a lot of minutes, but I loved it, and it's a character builder to be there. So in that category, sports are very important. They're very important to me.
True.
What this club is asking for right now is to get over a difficult time, to get over the hump right now. And I don't see any reason why we cannot contribute to that at this point, and get together and work on all these other issues that we're talking about that are long-term issues. Let's do that. Let's get them over the hump. We put out money for the seniors. We gave money to the OTA, and their program for, what was it, advertising or something? I mean, if we're not here to serve this community, what are we here for?
Yeah. So I would, Mr. Pratt.
Yeah, just, again, I am an avid supporter of the Boys and Girls Club. I've seen it firsthand. I saw what it did to a young boy who I was raising. And I agree with Ruben. How many kids a day are going to the Cottonwood office?
Anywhere from 35 to 50. It fluctuates, because when you have sports and all the other things in the summer, we were peaking out anywhere from 75 to 98 a day. because then we get in Cornville. You know, this isn't the last stop. I'm going to go to the county. I've already kind of put a bug in Supervisor Davis's ear and County Administrator Phil Bourdon. It's a community effort. They need to pitch into, we spend a lot of money on our prison, you know, on our jail out there. And I talked to them about that. I said, why can't we do some preventative medicine? You know, I mean, honestly. So, and we serve a lot of kids in Clarkdale, so we need to go meet with Clarkdale. This is just the beginning of a big, big Verde Valley, you know, cooperative effort to make sure our kids have somewhere to go because they don't have anywhere to go. You know, we've been working to try to get the teen center. You know, there's other options. We can, you know, I talked to National about that today. So there's other things, you know, but let's start and fix what we can. And I know working together, we can put in a solid plan, a solid long range, short range, and long range plan. So.
So what I would like to see, and I am just one of 7 people, the council can advise me if they don't agree with me. I would like to see you go back with our staff because we have another council meeting before March 31st and talk about your needs, because I mean, we just pick a number. You know, we need to go and talk to staff and
Well, I was, right, I was thinking 10,000. That would give us to 18,000 now, and then we could raise another 7,000 a week, and then we're solid, because we're taking that 50,000 and we're gonna take that and we're gonna double it. This is about.
But the 19th, you still could, this still would work for you.
Correct,
After you talk to our staff.
But if
and
I
they
went to
work with your
donors, right,
funding and-
it's great if I can go to donors and say, wow, the city just matched this 8,000, because we're almost to 10,000, so now we have almost 20,000, and I would get that 7,000 like that. That's what I'm saying. Then I know for certain, okay, because, you know, the staff is worried, parents are worried. We're trying to make sure, you know, even though I'm saying March 31st, I don't want to have to close March 31st if the council, you know, so I'm looking at different angles going, okay, can we make it until then? You know, that I wouldn't have come before you if I didn't think it was a dire need, and I felt that this would give me the momentum to push us toward then the $100,000 goal. We haven't even begun to hit the pavement. This is one of those things where we just started our momentum, and in 2 weeks we've raised $8 grand. So we are making commercials for the radio on Thursday about Arizona Gives, you know, that day, March 20th, and then not only that, but just our situation. We want to match this grant, but we want to go well beyond the grant. You know, this is just a momentum builder for us. So the long-term goal, honestly, it'd be really great to have a year's worth of operating capital in the bank by July 31st. So then we start out a great summer, after-school program, and then we can scholarship a lot more children. You know, we need to get more kids in our doors because the parents cannot afford it. So if we can raise all the money, get the momentum going, and do all what we're talking about with regional with you and put all of us together in the same room, we can be $10 a month. We're going to max out our doors. We'll be looking for a place, you know, because there's a lot of kids that are not served, a lot. He said how many children go to the, you know, Cottonwood School? 400? 400, we're not even serving an nth of that. And when I look at the Boys and Girls Club and you look at the big city and what they have to offer, and it's free, we could do that here easily. We could build a club where you're 200-300 kids a day because we have the strength here. I've seen the strength here.
So, council, Mr. Elansky?
I think the city can and should really fund the Boys and Girls Club, you know, as a part of our annual budget. I think that we should be doing that. But I'm concerned that I didn't know before tonight that this was such a crisis situation, and that concerns me. And I'm not uncomfortable with giving the money, of course, but I would like to have another meeting where we find out what the situation is and how it got to this point, and then make a plan to get you over the hurdle, of course, but also make a plan to keep you in the budget, in the city budget, year after year, so it doesn't get to this point again. So I guess I don't think it's too much to ask just to meet with staff. I would agree with the mayor and share with them the situation so that we can have another meeting to discuss it. And then, but as far as getting you over the hurdle, I have no problem with that at all. And I do support the Boys and Girls Club. I wished I had known what a crisis this was. before tonight.
No, we'd be happy to meet. I mean, I think, it's important. I know we have a plan. I can explain to you exactly how we got there. I've gone over stuff since 2008, 2007 to try to figure it out myself when I stepped in, when the board asked me to step in and take over. So I have a pretty good idea, and I know that if it's done right, we should never be back here again.
Mm-hmm.
And without staff's input and, working with you on what is your budget, what are your issues, I mean, there's 600 nonprofits in the Verde Valley.
I know.
And every one of them is as important as each, and so, will they expect us to, what I mean?
I think
They're
we
all
need-
important. Verde Valley caregivers, all their volunteers come from Sedona, but most of their care, a good percentage of it happens in Cottonwood.
Right, but I know that we support the senior center, and they have a really beautiful facility. I know that while there's a lot of nonprofits out there, we're one of the only ones, I think we are the only ones besides the Big Brothers Big Sisters that mentor kids. So I think we really need to look at that.
Right.
We are there.
I totally support
Right.
the children, 100%,
And we do make sure I could tell you stories about the children that we've made sure that they've passed second and third grade.
Oh,
So
absolutely. I have
I
no
guess I look at
doubts.
the educational end of it too, and we do that for them. You've heard tonight. Parents get to go home, and instead of doing homework, they're having dinner and sitting down and spending that quality time. And I could have another 20, 30 parents come in and say the same thing, so.
And I don't think there's a single person on this council that
Right.
disputes the importance of Boys and
Right.
Girls Club.
Right.
I would be very surprised if someone spoke out and said they did not support you. Jules?
Possible a quick comment from the audience?
Please, yes, if you would come up to the lectern. And have you please fill out your form when you're done.
Just a quick comment. We have money for old folks like me, and we make some contributions, but I see two things. This is an investment.
Absolutely.
You have police activity taking care of kids that don't get the care. This is an investment, going to save a lot of money. And besides,
Absolutely.
it does something for us when we give, really, with understanding and knowledge of really what's going on. I commend you on your interest, and I commend these parents and children
Absolutely.
on the meaningful thing they're doing. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Councilmember, or Vice Mayor, I guess you have already shared your thoughts, and so Councilmember Norman?
Well, I agree with everything that's been said. I'm in favor very much of the Boys Girls Club. I know how important it is for your children to have a place to go and feel safe and have good guidance. However, we can't really make a decision, I don't think, tonight. I don't see on the agenda where we can anyway, but I think it would be a good idea for her to meet with our staff and determine what can be done and how much, if possible.
We can find out how much right now. We have the financial director sitting right here. Tell us if he chooses to speak on that.
Yeah, Mr. Rodriguez.
I'm probably going to be the bad guy here. We too are going through some financial difficulties. We've strived for the last few years. We've eliminated but froze some positions that we haven't filled out. And my big concern is recently we've had two 501c3s request funding, and they weren't light funding. They were even heavier. The other one was even heavier than this one. I can see where we're opening up a Pandora's box where we may find ourselves with more and more 501c3s coming in. And again, it's not that, I believe it's an investment. I think it's a great idea. However, we do have other issues. We had, where is the principal, or?
He just left.
Okay, I'd like to know how much he's planning to contribute to the same program too, because it's very easy to come in here and stand and say, hey, we want the city to pony up. But, he too has to go out to his board and find out what kind of contributions he can put up for the system. You're asking the city to contribute, but we also need to sit down with you and find out what is everyone else to do. I beg to differ when you say you're going to go to another board and say,
Well, Cottonwood came up with 10 grand. What are you going to come up with? I've been faced with that same situation, and I fight it every day with the senior center because we're trying to get support from other areas. Again, it's not, and it's an investment, but I also know our counterparts in some of the other communities are not going to look at how much Cottonwood is going to say. They just want to make sure that we contribute the lion's share, and that's also a difficult situation. There was a point made by our council as far as the program. We don't want to put good money for a program that seems to be dying off. And not that it's on life support, let's put it that way. We've had the Sedona Center closed down. I don't know, I'm not sure what the issue was there because we haven't been informed of it. Was there a problem? Was there something else? We need to know what's going on before we actually put out this kind of money. Do we have money? Do we have reserve? Yes, we have. If you have looked at your quarterly reports, I've been mentioning for the last 2 years, we need to start replenishing our reserves because we have tapped into them extremely heavy. Now, on the flip side, I sent out an email to council and I had talked to our city manager about this. We have a Building Better Community Grants program that we stopped about 5 years ago when we started to struggle, and we haven't reinstituted it. One of the things we're looking at, and I know this is a dire straits kind of thing, but this program was originally set up to deal with one-time type of payments such as this. If council wants to, we can go ahead and reinstitute this program and try to run it through as quickly as possible and find out. But remember that this one requires application from not just one 501c3, but any 501c3. It's a competitive process. We don't have deep pockets. We're pushing ourselves to do a lot of other projects they have for the community. We've got street projects, expensive street projects going on. We've got some things we needed some solar projects for our recreation center. We're trying to build that thing up too. We've got a lot of things out there that are pending. Can we do it? Yes, it's a matter of where are we going to take, which pocket are we going to take it out of to put into this pocket. That's basically what it's going to be. We're in the budget process right now to try to get some of this thing together. To me, it's always very difficult when someone comes in and says, I need this thing taken care of, because I deal with it all the time, where someone will come in and say, hey, I need this thing fixed right now, and this is how much it's going to cost. I have to scramble to try to figure out, and many times I go to my department heads and ask them, would you mind ponying up here so I can pay there? And this happens even in the good times. I told you I was going to be the bad guy here, but we're struggling too. Every time we go to budget, you guys we have to balance our budget, and in past years we've come back to you and we have to tell you we've cut staff, we've cut here, we've delayed these projects, we've done all these things to try to manage our finances. You know, as far as if you're asking me, I'd say we postpone it till the next meeting till we have a chance to talk with them and actually have a game plan that says, yes, we're going to go to the county, but I'm going to tell you, the county, Clarkdale, the school districts, they're in the same boat and probably even worse than us. But that doesn't mean that we have the deep pockets to continue funding 501c3s, and I guarantee you this won't be the last one that comes across the council.
Question. Would you introduce yourself, your name, and what your base of interest is?
I'm the Administrative Services General Manager for the City of Cottonwood. I run the Finance Department, I run their IT, I run their Human Resources, Risk Management, and Purchasing.
Nice to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyways, that's what I do as the council wishes. I'm not here you asked me for what I thought, I'm giving it to you, and whatever council wishes, we will abide with.
And we appreciate that. And there's one good thing that you said is that if necessary, we can find the money to fund this. Thank you very much.
So will it work? Mr. Dowling, you didn't get a chance to.
Nope.
Everyone else has, I think.
Definitely. I definitely think that the program is important, obviously, all the testimonials we've had tonight. I think that we need to identify what needs to happen to get it over the hump. I support doing it. I would just like to be, I would hate to make an emotional decision on something that's important, that's so important for everybody. So I feel that it is most logical to try and define what it is that needs to be done and then proceed with that. So, I think that we would be well to look into it and, and be definite about it. So we're not just kind of nailing Jello to a wall, so to speak. So I think I would like to maybe have a more definite number, or and have that meeting in the interface as soon as we can, and try and get the action through as soon as we can in a responsible manner. But I definitely think it needs to have the support. I just need to get a better grasp on what that is, so that when you're going to go buy something, you want to know what it is and what you're paying for it. So I just want to try and do it in as responsible a manner as we can, and ensure that the kids get taken care of.
Sure. Debbie Pickering?
Picard. I'm the former board president, and I wasn't going to say anything. I was going to kind of stand in the background. But I'd like to respond to this gentleman and tell him that in 2011, if it was not for the board that was in place, those doors would not be open, because out of their pocket, they put in $20,000 to keep that board open, to keep the doors open. And when we pulled this task team together, the first people that stepped up with the board, and we all matched, because we know how important our kids are. And if it's not emotion that's going to get you to put up $10,000, then I don't know what it is, because there's nothing more important. Right. And if you do not build your community from your kids up and they're the future, then I know senior citizens are important. I'm a former hospice nurse. I understand the importance of that. I understand the importance of dogs and what they bring to and cats and horses and all that. But if it weren't for these kids and all these parents here telling you how important this is, there is no place for these kids to go. And to respond to this gentleman, we step up all the time and put in our own money. And we are at every fundraiser. We did 18 fundraisers in 2012. 18. Every weekend we were out there, whether it was $2,000 or $20,000. And every parent on Tuesday stepped up and is trying to help in whatever way they can, whether it be 5 cents or $5 or $25. And we are begging our friends and family, because we need to keep these doors open. So I want to thank you for your time, but I also want you to know that it's because of these parents and the board that's been in place that we are even here still today. Thank you.
And we know you have done a lot. Absolutely.
I just want to clarify one more thing on the gentleman that's the finance department. I didn't say I was going to go and leverage that money. I used to work for the county, so I know them all pretty well. I know a lot of people, and actually, one of our board members came from his wife that actually works at the county that said, you will go do this because our grandsons go there. It's not about, this isn't about an argument. I agree with what, and understand the city has, we're using taxpayer money. I understand that. We have to, come before you and say X, Y, and Z. I agree with Councilmember Alinsky. We do need to be in the budget every single year. But we need to put together that whole piece of pie that says, okay, where is all the funding going to come from? How are we going to exist? But I also do know that we need to be able to, I need to be able to tell my parents if I'm going to be open in 30 days. That's how critical this is. And I have talked to quite a few people in the community before today and before I came before the call to public about what our situation was. I've met multiple times with different individuals. So I don't think it's new that we're in this situation. Maybe new to some on the council, but I don't think it's very new that the situation in hand. I can go through the budget. Why we closed Sedona is because we serve more children here. That was a business decision and it was very hard to make. But you're not going to crack a $500,000 budget when you can't even crack $250,000. But I've done the budget for this year. It's actually in the black. We just have to put together the team to make sure that all the stuff that we need to do to raise that money stays. But again, it's critical that we raise that money by July, August, so we can start working on 2014. That's how it works. You have to be a year ahead of the game, because we know that the economy is not going to, it's pretty tough out there. In the Valley, I hear it all the time. There's not a lot of really great jobs here. Our families are leaving. I've had a lot of families leave this area, good people, because they cannot find work here. And I know that if you're going to bring in business and build this community from an economic standpoint, if you do not have the services for your children, for your seniors, all of it, it doesn't matter if it's the rec center, the Boys and Girls Club, it doesn't matter what it is, you're not going to get the businesses to locate here. We all know that. It doesn't take me to have an economic development degree to understand how that works. So if we do not have the major, you build the hospital. Look at how far the hospitals come. People now come here because we have a great facility for medical. The seniors know we have got a great cardiology department. But it's not just those people that are going to carry this town through. It's our people that are going to start relocating here because we have great businesses that offer really good jobs, and those people are going to need good schools and places for their children to go. So when we're talking about all this, we need to remember that. So just to clarify that, thank you.
Totally agree. One thing that probably is not understood by many people and many members of the public is that on the animal issue and supporting the Verde Valley Humane Society, state code requires us to take care of animals.
No,
And so that is why we assist them, because if we didn't have the nonprofit, we would have to pay for all of that ourselves. So that's just a point of clarification, that we are required to take care of stray animals, and I guess we have to keep them alive for 3 days? Is it 3 days, or did it change to 5?
No, I believe it's still 3 days,
Okay.
and they try not to put any of them down.
So they're trying not to kill any animals, but that is the reason that we support animals. I don't want it ever to sound like we support animals over children, because we don't. We're required by law to do that.
Correct, yeah, I knew that, and thanks for the clarification. But I stand before you today, and we've been doing this for a year, and as Debbie said, we've all put a lot of our own money in, and it's not going to fail. Whether we end up, I know that we'll end up working together, but regardless, we're out there every single day, and we will not fail. We've come a long way, because those kids will not have nowhere to go, and we're not putting them on the street. So, I would be more than happy. Everybody has my email, already next week. I work another job on the weekends. I don't get paid a lot. So I will be available first thing Monday if you guys can get enough of us together to start hitting the pavement on this budget situation.
That sounds good. So I think what I'm hearing as the direction of the majority of the council is to work with staff and to bring it back on the 19th for a decision by the council, so we can look at our budget, your budget, figure out how we can help you, and we certainly, there's not a person on this council that doesn't support what you're doing, because you're doing an awesome job for the kids.
Well, again, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I know it's been a long evening.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it, and all the families coming tonight.
And yes, the staff.
We'll see what we can do. So.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, yes, Jules, I don't remember your last name. I don't mean to call you. Osher. Mr. Osher, please. Yes.
I've spent many years in medical research, cardiovascular pharmacology and cardiology. That was fine. I've been involved somewhat in drugs, understanding them. But my concern here is this is preventive care.
We agree.
We don't do nearly enough these days.
We agree.
And we can, whoever this gentleman is, maybe these children, as you suggested, Karen, can be involved in the process and learn, be a part of the learning, and this is seed money. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to meet up, and then I'll meet up with, I'll meet up with the fundraiser and see what we can come up with in that area too, for some long-term assistance. So this item's over. Did you? Oh, is it over? Yeah. And you spoke for 5 minutes already, so are you quick? Really quick?
What I find puzzling is, in partnerships, it's a win-win deal. And I look at the fine people who showed up today to support the Boys and Girls Club, and I hear about how many kids this benefits. So I kind of wonder where all the other parents are who benefit from the money they're asking you to give. That, to me, doesn't seem like a partnership. So that's a thing as a citizen in any community would be concerned with. When you ask somebody to cough up some money, you darn well better be there to say what you're going to do to support that effort and why it's important to you. And like I said, the heart and soul of these people are here. And
Absolutely.
I just don't see enough people here.
Okay,
It's a tough deal.
we'll have more opportunities in the future, the near-term future, this month already. Okay, so approval of the council's 2013 vision and mission statement and strategic initiatives. Mr. Bartosh, are you doing that one?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I can go ahead and kick it off. As the council communication indicates, as we've done, I think, for the last 5 or 6 years, we got the council together and went over what we want to try and accomplish this year and beyond. And we have made the changes to the strategic initiatives that the council identified, add those that the council suggested, took out those that had been completed. And I'll have to apologize, council. I was looking at this, and for some reason I loaded up the strategic initiatives twice and not the
Yeah, I got
vision
2
and mission
copies.
statement. So,
And then, did you notice that we don't have there's a page missing? We don't have item number 12.
there may not be a 12 anymore, because I think we got rid of one of the initiatives that
I
we
think there
didn't
was
have
one that
anything
was
else.
wrong.
Yeah, there was one that had been completed and dealt with.
I
it.
can't remember
Yeah.
what it was, but
So I think this is complete, and the only thing we had on the mission and vision statement was there was a request for Casey Rooney to add in the kind of the areas of focus on the Focus for Success Economic Development Plan, and Casey did do that. And I'll send those out to the council electronically tomorrow, but he did add in those particular sections that are
Okay,
identified.
all right, I recalled that he had said
Yeah.
that he would comment
Yeah,
and
so
bring it
that's
back.
fine.
Should we just bring that back at the next meeting?
We could, if
By itself,
that's the
and-
council's desire, we could do that.
It's so important, and we were going to read them every quarter or 6 months or something, and we haven't done that lately, so wouldn't hurt us to spend a little bit of time on
Okay,
that.
I'll bring that back at the next meeting.
Okay, that'd be great.
And then it's whatever the council's pleasure is in terms of the initiatives, if you got a chance to look at them, anything we're missing or that you want to add at this point.
I did go over this kind of with a fine-tooth comb, and I appreciate the city clerk getting these done for us so we could compare a little bit. If we did, I actually went through these right along with the minutes, and it does seem to me that we still do have a 12 that
Okay,
didn't
well,
get on here. But
I can double check.
I
but
could be
I'm
wrong.
pretty sure there was one that was eliminated because we just
Okay.
didn't have anything in it.
Well, if you would, check that out,
Yeah.
because I went
I can do
back and forth on these. On strategic initiative 3, where 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dots down, bullet points, it says develop marketing strategies to connect the city to the Verde River. I really like that, and I hope we keep it. But I think what we actually talked about, okay, let me find it. I thought, I didn't mark that. I thought, oh, A, okay. Wow, because this had that many, 3. It goes 1, 2, 3 was a big discussion. So I named both of those A. I think I misnumbered them. So I can't even tell you what I was thinking when I was going through here. Anyway, I thought that it said something different than the Verde River, although I'd like to keep the Verde River in. But when I was going through the minutes, I thought it said something different. But I didn't mark it right, so I guess I just have to skip that. You could.
Well, and it's a pretty general, kind of a goal, so, I mean, we could, you can fit quite a bit in there.
Right, and there were more things that we were going to develop marketing strategies for. So if it would be the pleasure of the council, I will look that up when I have a little more time and get back to Mr. Bartosh on
You
that.
mean, were they different activities?
Yeah, they were just, I think there were a number of activities that were...
That may be the last one. The last
Okay.
one in that section, Market Cottonwood, to include our biking, hiking, canoeing,
Yeah.
kayaking, hang
I think it
gliding.
was even something different than that, though, when I was reading. So I'll have to go back and study that. I apologize that I goofed that up. So, okay, and item number 4, C&C. On page 14 at the bottom of the page, we talked about helping the VFW with a bus. And we didn't actually have that as an item, but I was wondering if we shouldn't add that as a possibility to try to attain in our goals, because it's mentioned in the minutes. And that was where the VFW had come and asked for, okay, so there are a lot of the gentlemen that go out and do the flag raisings and all that, and we have them on the 4th of July. They're in their 80s and 90s, and they can't crawl into this van anymore. But the fact is, the van doesn't work. So, council may wish to, if we have an opportunity, and we don't know that we will, but if we have an opportunity to provide an old bus to them, that it would come back to us, and that could be a goal of ours, if we can do it. But maybe we can't, maybe we have to use all those buses for ourselves, but is that something that you would want to add as an initiative to try to do if we can? And it was discussed
Remember us discussing it.
but it didn't end up over here on this page.
Yeah, I think that it may be because I'm not sure there's an initiative that it fits into.
Number 8, maybe?
And yeah, we could do it there.
That would neighborhood health and quality of life. Okay, so wherever, if it would be the council's pleasure. We could
certainly try.
Okay, and, maybe we can, maybe we can't, but if you would add that one then, if we can. Okay, on 5. Okay, on 7, I marked D. Okay, on page 16 of the minutes, we taught on goal 6. Oh, where is that? I'm sorry, I really went through these, but there's a lot. Okay, skipping over to strategic 8 on the page. We have the same thing, continue participation in Let's Move project ongoing, responsible staff Richard. And then at the bottom of there, it says continue participation in Let's Move program Marianne Jimenez. So if we could put those in one place and then add both Richard and Marianne, because Marianne's doing a whole lot with that program. And Richard does the luau, Marianne helps with that.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah,
we
I see
have
that,
the children's golf tournament coming up and different things for the kiddos, so I just thought that was duplicating itself. Hang on. So in Strategic Initiative 7, okay, one of the things we talked about at the strategic initiatives was, develop public education. This actually has a little bullet by it, but develop public education on recycling. 6, did we do that? Was that a done one?
Yeah,
Okay,
that was
never
a done
mind. That's one that we completed, sorry about that. And then, I mean, our list is so extensive of the things that we're trying to accomplish. Okay, hang on. So, action item on sheet plan. So that's, moving the garbage cans is on here, the strategic initiative, so why I put a number by that, I do not know. And then, okay, we talked about needing to look at funding for a brochure to educate about recycling. So we said, develop marketing strategies for the Verde Greenway, the jail trail, and other systems in an effort to educate our citizens and attract tourists. And I think that we were talking about, you know, the hiking, biking, hang gliding and all of that. Weren't we talking about actually trying to create a brochure to promote that stuff? Do you not recall that?
I don't recall that.
So I had do a brochure if that's what the council wants to do. I mean, I guess it's just how do we promote that stuff is the big thing. Okay, we did that. And then if you would just check, I still think that 12 might be missing, and just check and see if it is.
Okay.
And otherwise, that was my input of trying to compare what we talked about with what we ended up with. And I think Kyla did a great job on that, taking her minutes, and Mary Ann did a wonderful job on helping us compare and what we said compared to how the list turned out. So we appreciate you. Thank you very much. So any other comments on the strategic plan? As you know, that's the council's plan for the year that the city manager takes and tries to check off as many items as he can. And it shows us our accomplishments for the year and his accomplishments too. And so are there any members of the public who would like to comment on the strategic plan? If not, we'll close the floor to the public, and I think that we're strategic initiatives. So we do need a motion to approve just the strategic initiatives. So I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the strategic initiatives.
With the recommended changes?
With the recommended changes that the mayor had asked you to look into, yeah.
Second. So Councilmember Elinsky made the motion, and Vice Mayor Pfeiffer seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And the next item is the community garden, and Ms. Jimenez is the presenter on this item.
Yes, Madam Mayor, council members, if you'll recall at our February 12th work session, most of the council members were present. I presented a set of draft rules and regulations for the community garden, along with the users agreement, which the council was okay with. I did add the rule that there are no railroad ties or tires allowed in the community garden as requested. We've just expanded the rules a little bit more, and I'm here for formal approval by the council of the rules and regulations and the user agreement. The council also indicated that it did want the community garden to be an organic garden, and all the community members that have been calling, anxiously awaiting to get into the garden, are very pleased that the garden is going to be organic. The fertilizers and pesticides, so to speak, or pest control, anything that's going to be used in the garden has to be listed in the Organic Materials Review Institute's handbook. I have a handbook on file in my office. They're also available online. The garden's been cleaned. This past week, 2 members of our Building and Parks crew and myself were out at the garden, and we have sectioned all the plots out. There's the 16 by 16s for the conventional plots, and then we have a section that's been reserved for the square foot gardening method. So we're just waiting for the council formal approval for this, and then we can start leasing the plots out.
Okay, it looks like it's very thorough.
To quote Ruben quoting me, this is a no-brainer. It's very good.
I did have one quick question. It talks about in number 12, when a plot holder vacates an assigned plot, they must notify the garden manager and remove all plants, weeds, and temporary structures from the plot. Will we have a place that they can put those? I mean, can they be burned later, or, I mean, do we expect them to put them in their car and take them home, or what's our expectation on that?
I believe there's somewhere in the rule that says that they need to dispose of the weeds or the dead plants or so forth. That's one thing that I need to look into, because there isn't a dumpster or trash container that's located anywhere near the garden. The closest one would be at the dog park. But we are asking that they remove the materials and take them home at this time.
Okay.
It would be an additional charge for us to get a trash container over there, so that would have to be budgeted for next year's budget.
Okay, what they would do would be bring plastic bags and put it in there and take it home.
Right, and take it home. And the structures we're talking about, we're not really allowing any structures. It gives it describes structures such as tomato cages. We're not talking
trellises you have in there.
trellises, right? That's what the structures are.
Okay.
We're not promoting any pots or containers of any kind, because that's a lot of the things that we had to remove that were left there by the previous plot user. We pulled out tons of containers and planters and pots, and the tomato cages I saved, they're there for other people to use.
Okay. All
It's
right.
actually answered on the last page, number 4. When I no longer desire to use my plot, I will notify the garden manager and remove all plants, weeds, and temporary structures such as trellises and tomato cages from my plot and dispose of these items in a proper manner.
Right. Even though I did read that, but I was just questioning how difficult that would be for 50 people to try to get their stuff out of there and bag it up, and whether we could maybe make an accommodation at some point. But at this point, I agree, just take it home, and if it is a problem, the citizens can come to us, can come to our garden manager and see if there might be a different solution, but we can try this first and see how that works.
You know what, in the motion, it says the city clerk can amend this from time to time if it needs to be.
Saw that.
So I say we pass it like it is, and if it needs amendments, it will. You know, I think it's complete.
Agree. Any comments from the public on this item? If not, Mr. Pratt, are you?
I move to approve the Cottonwood Community Garden rules, regulations, user agreement, and fees as presented, to appoint the city clerk as the garden's manager, and to authorize the city clerk to amend the rules, regulations, user agreement, and fees from time to time as appropriate.
So that, as you said, that gives her the ability to change things and work with the other staff if she needs to on issues that might come up. So Mr. Pratt made the motion, and Mr. Udinsky seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
I'd just like to thank the council for support of the community garden and your support for keeping it going. I have a lot of people that have indicated interest in plots. I have the list going, and they're anxious to move forward.
Wonderful.
So I look forward to a successful year at the community garden.
It's the perfect time.
And I
It
think
is.
that I think I can speak on behalf of the council to say thank you for all the time and effort you've put into it and the interest that you've shown to ensure that it's successful for our citizens. Thank you.
It's a very important, it's an important, trying to think, it's important for the community to have a community garden. There's a lot of cities and towns that don't have one. And so it's really great that we offer this for our citizens to be able to grow their own healthy food and provide food for their family and their kids.
And the exciting part is you have lots of ideas for the children, so I think that's
Just
gonna
adds to the quality
be
of
fun.
life.
Yes.
Absolutely. So we're excited about it, and thank you. Okay, the next item is the claims report, and I think...
I'm declaring a conflict on that. I have to step down.
Okay, all right. So Mr. Dowling, for the record, is declaring a conflict. Mr. Bartosh, I noticed, and I had asked you and Rudy, that it seemed like the first item was not totally there. And he had, did you see that email?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, and so I brought, I don't know, did you copy down that correct information?
No, I did
I did, okay, so if I can find it. So I said that the payroll seemed a little bit small compared to usual. And so he said that the actual number is $524,976.82 rather than the stated $295,711.23. And he said the $295,711.23 is just the payroll. The difference is PS, PRS, FICA, Med FICA, FSA amounts, HAS amounts, and this one includes an employee settlement amount, which is the spike from the other payrolls. FSA stands for Flexible Savings Account, HSA stands for Health Savings Account. Hope this helps. And then he said the payroll includes 2 employee payouts, one a termination and the other a claim settlement. So that's the reason for the difference in the amount this time. So I would like to just correct that for the record. And I didn't notice anything else that looked different than it should have been. So I would entertain any comments from the public on that item. I would entertain a motion.
I move we pay the claims and adjustments with the correction as noted.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Elinsky made the motion, the Vice Mayor seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next item is executive session, annual review of the city manager pursuant to ARS 38-43103A1, discussion or consideration of employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, demotion, dismissal, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of a public officer, appointee, or employee of any public body, except that, with the exception of salary discussions, an officer, appointee, or employee may demand that the discussion or consideration occur at a public meeting. The council may vote to convene into executive session subject to the city manager's right to compel the council to discuss this matter in open meeting. And I sent the letter to Mr. Bartosh, and so I believe that he chose that he would allow us to go into executive session. So I would make a motion to convene into executive session.
Second.
Okay, the mayor made the motion, the vice mayor seconded it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Are we going to move to...
We can move into the